And then here we go. All right. I see a few people are still connecting to the audio, but in the meanwhile, I will just say welcome to everybody. My name is Kimberly, and this is Shay. We are joining you today from Squamish First Nation territory here at Park Royal at our office. And just want to say welcome to everybody. Thank you for taking time out of your, I know, busy day to be here. And yeah, we are recording this session because that way, for any of the health directors or staff who wanted to be here today but were unable to attend, we will make the this recording available through FNHDA's through our webinar library, so you can circle back and watch it again. Watch it now, watch it often, as many times as you like. Anyway, so yeah, thank you very much. I think pretty much everybody is here and has managed to connect to the audio now. So hopefully that is all good. There is the chat feature. If you have questions or comments, feel free to put those in the chat. And also, if you do have a question, it's helpful for us if you use the raise hand feature. What that does is it takes your little box and it floats it to the top of the list. And it means that even if we're sharing the screen with the presentation, we can see that you have something that you would like to say. So that is all of the housekeeping, I think, from me. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Robert to introduce himself and his team and take it away. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for inviting us to share this wonderful project that we've been working on for over a year and a half with the health directors across the province who've joined us today. And for those that'll watch it on video later, we encourage you to still reach out to us and ask any questions you might have after watching the video. You can reach us and on this program, just to clarify, at AED at FNHA.ca. And Zach will put that in the chat as well. So any other follow-up questions that you may not get answered today, you feel free to reach out, please. That being said, I'd like to acknowledge as well that I'm calling in from the traditional unceded territories of the Squamish Nation, specifically the tower at Park Royal as well. And feel free to put a land acknowledgement of where you're calling from into the chat as well. Before we also begin, I want to take a moment and acknowledge the sacredness of the work we are here to speak about today. We lift our hands to the lands and waters that sustain us and to the ancestors whose strength and teachings continue to guide us. We give thanks to my ancestors and the first peoples of this land who have cared for this place since time immemorial. We also turn our hearts and minds to the Creator, asking for guidance as we come together. Creator, help us walk gently and speak truthfully. May our work be carried out in a good way, one that honors life, protects the well-being of our communities, and strengthens the circle for future generation. Let our intentions be rooted in respect, in humility, and in the shared vision of safety, learning, and opportunity for our youth and communities. May we be given the clarity to speak with purpose, the wisdom to listen deeply, and the courage to act with compassion. All my relations. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I'll give a little background to myself as you guys can peruse the agenda here. My name is Robert Borchek. I'm the Director of Occupational Health and Safety here at First Nation Health Authority. I've been in the role for 3 years as of this month. It's my 3-year birthday at FNHA. Prior to joining FNHA, I've spent close to 20 years in occupational health and safety across many different industries. I've been a high-angle rope rescue, confined space rescue tech, level 3 first aider. I have a bachelor's of nursing sciences. So obviously health and safety has been a big part of my life. I myself am a mixed colonial and First Nations descent. I'm Haida Nation, Skinnigat band member of Haida Gwaii, and a son of a Takakoop Nation, Treaty 6 territory out of Saskatchewan. My colonial side, I'm 4/4 of the Canadian loonie, as some might say. A little bit of Scottish, some Irish, some Slovak, and 1% Norwegian, according to Ancestry DNA. So I will hold on to that Viking heritage closely as well, because that's pretty cool background as far as I'm concerned. Um, so what we're here today, and you can go to the next slide, Zach, is to talk about our new AED program that we've been working on. But before we get even further into that, I want to highlight that our success of this program is really built on the strength of partnerships that have made it come this far. And that includes the future partnerships that we hope to have with each one of you and your communities. The commitment to a shared purpose of those we work with have turned an idea into reality, and this program would not exist without them. So first and foremost, I'd like to highlight our partnership with Heart and Stroke. This program became something initially when I joined FNHA to bring, I wanted to be able to bring AEDs to communities where they were in need. And we partnered with Hearts of BC initially. They were a small organization that was started by my cardiologist. So as you can tell by the fact that I have a cardiologist, this is something that's near and dear to my heart, very specifically and literally as well. Adrija Chakrabarty is the daughter of Dr. Chakrabarty at St. Paul's, and she had started this initiative. We were given 5 AEDs, and we distributed them through our health emergency management team to communities that had flagged that they may have need. And we got those out. But I noticed something that was potentially wrong with the way that we'd approached this, and that was that we had no continuity of what happened to that AED afterwards. So fast forward a little bit, I ended up getting a hold of Heart and Stroke through a connection at Stryker, our other partner listed here, who had indicated that there was a program to get AEDs into communities where they were underserved. Part of the problem was that they only identified places like Prince George and Abbotsford, which, although rural kind of, are quite urban. And so there was an equity issue that I kind of had with that, and Heart and Stroke agreed. So we approached the ministry under this program to ask for funding for an initial 50 AEDs to distribute. Through our partnership with Stryker, we determined that there is a model that existed that would help benefit that kind of loss of connection with that AED and help prevent any maintenance issue or from an AED going unattended and not tracked. So we settled with Stryker and Heart and Stroke on the CR2 model, which is the model that will be used in this program as well. It's a Wi-Fi and cellular enabled AED unit that can be connected on either thing, and it's tracked by a backbone at FNHA. We do know that in that health director position, who are often overseeing a lot of these community challenges with where they place AEDs, that there is turnover, and in that turnover, a loss of necessarily potentially knowledge of where the AED is located, what the maintenance schedule is. So what this new system will do is allow us, by using this model AED, be able to monitor as a backbone and support community in making sure that the maintenance is being kept up with, and that if it's used, we can identify that and be able to support community from different activations as well through this programming. I'll flag our work with BCHS. BCHS obviously has identified a lot of communities that they work alongside where there is a need of this as well, and more AEDs out there. And BCHS has also come together as a more than just a thought partner, but if they do respond to a cardiac arrest within a community, they're also going to leave pads, which is another reason why we chose this. The pads are replaceable and interchangeable with the same system that BCHS uses. So this means that an AED will spend less downtime if it is used and can be stood back up again within community to support sudden cardiac arrest events going forward. Our work with Stryker and Iridia has been invaluable. Through the funding that we got, we were able to maximize the amount of AEDs and supporting materials that we needed because they gave us a price point that was not attainable through any other means. And Iridia being this a distributor of the Stryker units, they've been an excellent partner as well in holding the inventory for us so that we don't have boxes and boxes piling up here at FNHA, and we can bring that supply in as we start the distribution cycle. Our other valuable partner in this has been First Nations Health Foundation. And once again, this ties back into Heart and Stroke in helping us seek more grant funding to expand this program in future. So Heart and Stroke individually has applied for co-joint grant opportunities with us, and also sought out grant opportunities to specifically fund this program that we'll talk about in a moment here. And First Nations Health Foundation has our sister organization for philanthropy, has also really been a big supporter in finding unique avenues of funding that aren't putting our hands in the cookie jars that everyone else is putting their hands into. So we're really trying to make this program self-sufficient, but not borrow from other needs. So it is actually specifically funded for AEDs, and that's why we have this opportunity available. St. John's Ambulance has been an incredible partner, and I'll get into it more later, but they have really been a partner in training. So one of the goals of this is to how do we create sustainable, cardiac arrest, emergency response planning within communities overall. Well, that involves training from basic first aid, or what we'll explain later, cardiac crash is a small piece as well, all the way up to EMR, emergency responder training, and all as far as paramedic training, which allows for job opportunities and growth from community members who do go down that path to find careers in emergency medicine and emergency healthcare through that way, and hopefully inspire them as well to go on to do other things such as nursing or potentially even becoming a doctor. So St. John's Ambulance has stepped up as a contributor to this program by putting a blanket umbrella under FNHA, First Nations Health Authority account, which will have sub-accounts of every community. So if your community wants to reach out to us, we can connect you with St. John's Ambulance and the training supplier. And what they'll do is you'll get a reduced price, heavily reduced in some cases, depending on the training, but reduced overall across all avenues of their training that they offer, right up to paramedic levels. They've also, and don't quote me on this 100%, I just need the final confirmation, but I believe they still are going to be indemnifying any volunteer emergency medical response teams within the community that form in a way that is the requirements, that meet the requirements. They will offer that indemnification of that emergency medical responder program within community, which is a great relief as far as the cost of insuring and so on, and those considerations. So we really thank St. John's Ambulance for setting up, or BCHS for stepping up to the plate with that indemnification, and St. John's obviously stepping up with the training aspect. Our more academic partner in this is BC Resurrect. So they're a thought partner in supporting this. They are led by Dr. Jim Christensen and Dr. Brian Gurneau from UBC Medicine, as well as St. Paul's Hospital. They basically are responsible for any of the throughput from a cardiac arrest situation within the continuity of healthcare. They get it reported back to their team, and they're the ones that come up with protocols for in-hospital care, for ambulatory care in a cardiac arrest situation. And they also track that data about where cardiac arrest is occurring, how many are used by AEDs. And they've created a dashboard as well that is public facing, which we've been careful to remind them that to make sure First Nations communities aren't included in that dashboard public facing side. But they've also said that they would love to be able to share that information with community that are asking for it to help plan around, cardiac arrest events and look forward to community planning around that. So they've offered as well to kind of come forward and share. They've also done a small scale version of kind of this program that we're kind of looking to start and grow. And that is in New Chalith. So they partner with New Chalith Nation, and FNHA was a small partner in that originally too, to stand up an emergency medical responder program in that community due to the difficulties of getting ambulatory care promptly to that community in the New Chalith Nations. And then, of course, for our partners here at First Nations Health Authority, all of our emergency health officers, Zachary on the call here has been instrumental in leadership. Mike, who is on our team, who's not on the call today, he's been heading up our cardiac crash side and really diving into how we're going to create the community of practice after once these go out and support ongoing. So without these kind of partners and the leadership at FNHA, we wouldn't be here either. So I just wanted to thank you to all the partners involved. So a little bit of an introduction to the program. So Zachary's right now is going to put into the chat the link to the online application portal. And so you can see a little snippet of it on the right. So the First Nations Health Authority Here Another Day program, or HAD CPR plus AED program, aims to enhance emergency response capacity in First Nations communities across BC by providing AED kits, portable devices used to restart the heart during sudden cardiac arrest, and CPR training. FNHA has received program support from the Ministry of Health and Heart and Stroke Foundation to distribute an initial 50 AEDs and associated supplies, including a stipend funding for battery and pad replacements in year 4. So as I said, these units do not require maintenance from year to year or biannually. It's monitored completely digitally now. And as I said, FNHA acts as that backbone for you guys with these specific units. And then we'll also hold in trust the stipend so that mark, when your units are requiring replacement batteries and pads, we'll make sure that ordering gets taken place and delivered to you. And for those that have difficulty in delivery systems and stuff with batteries and so on, fortunately, we do have our EHOs and community engagement coordinators that will also help in finding ways to shepherd it out there, supplies for getting these out here. We've also had BCHS come in and said that they would support with any logistical issues we had in distribution of the initial AEDs and, of course, the battery and pad replacements down the line. I will add that the plans from the ministry is to, but not confirmed, is to supply more AEDs to this program in future. So once we get rid of these first 50, our expectations are that there's upwards of 50, potentially more coming in just from the ministry alone, not including any additional funding that we intend to seek to support this program and the educational components of this program going forward as well. Next slide. And maybe I'll just pause there if there's any questions so far and see if anybody. That hand function that we talked about might be good if you want to get to the top of the line. Okay, on that note, I will keep going. So Here Another Day, name giving. So how did we come up with this name? So to choose the name Here Another Day, we gathered with 3 respected elders. And during this conversation, we explored the heart of the program, no pun intended. Its inspiration, what the short-term goals and long-term vision was for improving readiness for cardiac arrest. And this topic was deeply informed for many in the room, having experienced or been around family that has experienced around it. And as we reflected, the words Here Another Day were spoken. And I'll share that at first we were like, yeah, you know what, we can gather here another day. No worries. You know what, maybe this is going to take a little longer. And we were very quickly corrected. No, they meant Here Another Day, because you are here another day. And I still getting goosebumps from it. We all did. It was a very thoughtful way of doing it and not associating with any one language or any one symbol. It's just the reality of it is you're here another day if you had CPR plus AED. And so the acronym HAD was born, and the name of the project was moved from the AED implementation team to the Here Another Day project. So we just wanted to share that story about how we arrived at this name. We thought it was a great story. So let's talk about the thematics of how this is going to play out and what this means for each community. So we shared obviously the application landing page, and then the application portal is in there in the literature as you read through it. But the goal is to ensure AEDs reach communities most in need. And so we have a strategy around this, which is evaluate the applications with selection committee. And that selection committee will include regional representatives from FNHA and use some of the questions that we also have in the application portal to help establish a priority need. So obviously, if a community has 0 AEDs, they're going to be looked at as a more priority need. An example here as well of one of the questions just is, how far are you from an ambulance station, or do you have ambulance service at all that services your community? Or how far away is your community from hospital, nursing station, health center, clinic? These are not necessarily taking away from the need of an AED, but since we have a limited amount in our initial batch, this will help establish a priority need for those AEDs initially coming out. And so we just really want to make sure that you're aware that there's a really thoughtful approach to how we are establishing the equity driven aspect of this programming and distribution. We do recognize that some communities may need two AEDs just to actually to fulfill kind of a basic need within community. One thing that's not shown here though as well is like our selection and placement of where the AED goes. If you have one already in a first responder bag, or if you have a first responder team that doesn't have an AED, well, 80% of cardiac arrests, sudden cardiac arrests, occur in the household. And so identifying that need for your EMR teams that exist within community could be a need. So it may not be a public-facing AED, but a desperately needed AED for the emergency medical responders in your community so that they can get to the heart of where the problems often occur, which is in the household. And then we have it slowly sliding down a scale of, in the community center, in places where heavy activity, physical activity may occur, in gymnasiums, and so on. And then all the way up to a public facing one. So that could be in the middle of community or outside the health center, which would, I will flag, would need additional power or power access, and community would be responsible for installing the box, but we are supplying the box. That's also a heated box if necessary. So we do ask, is it going to be stored inside? Is it going to be stored outside? And we do have a heated box option that's included with it as well. So we're trying to make sure that we help you identify where the need is most, and that we can work together on that in that decision. Next slide. So thematic number 2 is sustainable readiness and maintenance. So I've kind of touched on this before, so I won't spend too much time here, but we're really looking to enable long-term AED functionality over the span of at least 8 years. So the program is funded, ready to go for these 50 AEDs for 8 years. Hopefully that expands to 100 AEDs within the next cycle over that same 8-year period. But we're also looking for additional funding, as I said, to expand the stipends and to allow for replacement. Technically, these AEDs, if not used and stored properly, should have a very, very long lifetime, and with the proper maintenance, which is, like I said, supported by FNHA. And so if we can get more stipends to expand program to 12 to 16 years, this is the long-term goal. So fortunately, I have 8 years to find more funding. So cross your fingers that I will get us there. But FNHA, as we said, is going to place funds for batteries in a stipend for the first replacement in 4 years. And BC Health Emergency Services will replace pads if they are the secondary response or come into a community after an AED has been deployed to help extricate that patient. They will come in with replacement pads and leave that, because they will take the pads with them and plug their machine into them, and they'll just leave them on the person that's experienced sudden cardiac arrest. Next slide. And so here's the sustainability aspect and the bigger need that I saw from that initial giving out 5 and just hoping that they get used and training is there. We really want to empower training, because an AED only works if we're giving CPR, as I'm sure every health director on this call knows. You need to give compressions while you're giving an AED to get it into a shockable rhythm as well. So our goal is to empower community members to become emergency responders and inspire future EMR professionals. And by further that, a gateway into the broader healthcare field as a whole. So our strategy is to offer a cardiac crash. It's a digital CPR training to community members. So in that application, we ask you to identify 3 to 5 members that would join for a train the trainer session or for an initial cardiac crash session. The train the trainer session is much longer, but it enables those 3 to 5 people to carry on this cardiac crash training, which has been gifted to us by Heart and Stroke, and use that there's a student version for youth, and there's an adult version. And so this will allow you to take that out into community in a volunteer fashion and spread basic CPR training in an hour format, really quick and really poignant training that really cuts through a lot of fluff and really gets to the heart of the matter, which is making sure that you can respond in a timely manner. Um, and so, as I mentioned as well, we'll often the St. Paul's or sorry St. John's Ambulance partnership takes that a step further. So we're hoping through the cardiac crash training, communities are able to identify those that really have a passion for what they're doing and what they're learning, and through that passion, be able to identify them and promote them into further training with St. John's Ambulance. At which time we hopefully will have some funds to potentially support that as well. Um, Once you send your application in, it is really just a starting pathway on this journey with us. The real journey begins once we get your application in and we start communicating back and forth about what the plans are around community and really start working with you in that regard and creating the community of practice that we want to create out of this as well, bringing together those first responders that are in training and bringing together those leaders within community that want to lead this kind of work. We really want to create a place for them where they can share wins and successes and failures and heartbreaks, and have a safe space where communities can work together in a regional fashion, or potentially whatever comes of that. We're going to allow for that to kind of evolve a little more naturally, and really just become a facilitator for those community of practice groups that we create out of this as well. We also want to use this to encourage AED awareness days to educate the residents about AEDs and their importance and their use. Next slide. A little bit of more about cardiac crash is it is awareness level training. It's non-certifying CPR training geared towards bystanders and those interested in trying CPR. It's a 1 hour in duration course. So the trainer is a little bit longer. It's 4 hours. But once that's done, those trainers can go out and watch, make sure that people are using the right algorithm for compressions, and can really conduct that training effectively within their communities. And it's a short that you can fold into educational components at the school, at the community school, or in gatherings at gymnasiums, where you can do adult awareness sessions as well. The more people trained in this, the better and more likelihood for a good outcome if there is a sudden cardiac arrest within community. The training is adaptable, so our facilitator encourages everyone to attend and participate. And we are aware that this is a very sensitive topic, and we encourage participants, of course, to participate to their comfort level. We also want to incorporate cultural aspects of this into the training too. So in that initial consultation, before we kind of go into it, as I said, there's going to be that communication engagement with you. We want to know if there's things from a cultural aspect, depending on which nation you're from, that differs. I know in Nuu-Chalik Nation, for example, placing your hand on the head, helps prevent the soul from escaping. And that's part that has been incorporated into their EMR programming and training as well, if there's a bystander that's able to support with that. So it's an excellent opportunity to discuss those aspects as well and make sure that those are included as they're critical to us offering a culturally safe and inclusive training as well. So this is a sample of our poster that's going to go out. So there is a broader communication. Our comms team is going to engage with, I believe they have all your emails as well. So expect in the next 3 to 4 days to have an email across your desk with some broader information as well. You've already got the website linked in the chat as well. So that's pretty much where this will take you. But you'll get another reminder. We're really trying to encourage people to get applications in before January 2nd, January 3rd, just for the initial wave. So it's not an end date. The applications can continue to come in. In fact, we encourage apply. Even if you don't need one, because what this will help do is show the ministry that we need more for those communities that are more in need. Even if the less in need ones are applying, it helps the program overall. And that doesn't mean that you won't be eligible. And hey, if you don't need one and you're really okay, just tell us and we'll say, but you want the training, we can do that. It's not just because you don't receive an AED doesn't mean you won't get the training aspect or any of that too. And that might have more value than an additional AED in your community, but still send in that application we request. So what we've done to date, it's been a year in the making. All 50 AEDs have been ordered and are ready for deployment. The web page is live, as you've seen. The application portal is live and has been converted as well to a printable form for communities that are lacking access to the internet. So if you know a community that may have issues with applying online, we do encourage you to share the printable one with them if you're able to hand it off and get them to mail it in. They can mail it to just FNHA's address and put our general mailing address and put AED or the HAD here another day CPR initiative, and our reception will make sure that gets up to us as well. All partners have been activated to spread awareness of the program. So all those partnerships, you'll probably hear from BCHS if you have connections with them, and from their incident commanders throughout the province. They've also been functional in helping us be aware of which communities may also be more in need and that they've identified may need more support as well. So look for communication from them as well. And then potentially in the next 2 to 3 weeks, you should receive a follow-up email more specifically from your regional representatives at FNHA. So the regional engagement coordinators or the HEM teams will also be out there kind of sharing this program and making sure that everyone gets applications in that want to participate. All internal and external communications have been finalized. And as I said, expect that planned for December 4th. Next steps, once applications are received, the OHS team will work with the applying community to identify training interest, of course, and arrange training opportunities. So we understand busy schedules exist. We will work with you to and a cohort of communities within your region to try and bring you all together, though, because we think there's value in that as well. And shared experience and shared training is always a good way to go about it. And we can discuss the different pros, cons, and challenges of emergency medical response within your community, as well in those initial training opportunities. Our selection committee will look at applications to establish communities with the greatest need based on several factors, as I alluded to. And the first round of shipments to be released in early to mid-January is hoped. But forgive us if we push it back an extra couple of weeks, because we do realize that Christmas holidays means that some people may not be able to get their applications in on time. So we may just push it back a couple of weeks just to allow for, if we see that their applications have tapered off or have gotten really low over Christmas time, to allow a few more people to get in for the initial one. Oh, and I see we have a question here. Pull that up. All right. Could this, Sean has asked, could this expand to remote communities that may have AEDs, but they've had them for a while and may be beyond its lifespan? Could FNHA conduct support and maintenance of existing AEDs? Okay, so let's break this down. There's a couple of questions in here. Absolutely, if you have AEDs that are maybe beyond their lifespan or haven't been maintained properly, you may indicate that on the form. There's opportunity to write that in and say, we have 2 active ones, but we have 3 that are out of maintenance and not working. And we could, and then on to the second question, could FNHA conduct support and maintenance of existing AEDs? Unfortunately, that's beyond our capacity. You will actually be the owner of these AEDs in here that go to you as well. They won't be owned by FNHA. They'll be your AEDs. We are just providing a backbone of support around this new AED network. For existing AEDs, well, we can't do that. We can help communicate to you options around maintenance and figuring out avenues for your existing AED infrastructure that's already there. And that more broadly, something that we could also bring to the community of practice. And there's potential there. I would say there's potential there for communities to join together and get reduced rates for maintenance for their existing AED infrastructure. And that's a potential for discussion within that community of practice amongst yourselves as well. So definitely something that can be addressed, but directly FNHA cannot support, unfortunately, at this time, the maintenance of your existing AEDs. And is there any more? Nope. Okay. And next slide, Zach. And how for listening to me blabber on about this wonderful program. With that, that concludes our presentation today. And now I'll open up the floor to other questions. I'm not seeing any hands raised.
I don't see any questions either. A reminder that the AED at FNHA.ca email is in the chat. And also at any time, if there's a question or something that you kind of go, oh, there was that thing that FNHDA did, you are always more than welcome to send a message to our team and we will do everything we can to connect you to where you need to go. I'll put that back in the chat as well.
I see Carrie saying her mic is not working. Carrie, did you want to maybe type your question into the chat? Oh, perfect. I see Coral's come on camera. Is it maybe Coral has a question? Oh, okay, just wanted to show her face. I like that.
Carrie's asking if there's any training on what happens if, for example, somebody uses the AED on a person with a DNR.
You know what? I'm going to loosely say that I don't specifically have the answer to that question from the cardiac crash training. We shouldn't be getting in that because even if somebody has a DNR, a good Samaritan doing that won't necessarily know that either. But that's not to say that and the Good Samaritan Act obviously indemnifies that person as well from responding to what they would perceive as a cardiac arrest event that they need to respond to. I would just hope that, if it's in the household, that obviously family would indicate that they're a DNR or that is shared. And that would be a question more with the emergency medical response that happens if that's the case. So not so much something that relates necessarily directly to this programming. Correct, Terry. If it's a lay bystander, as the terminology is, the Good Samaritan Act would cover that person. And I guess one of the biggest things that this program is hoping to address as well with cardiac crash really is that don't just be a bystander. When this happens, the faster we can help somebody and how to help them is critically important. We know the stats. We know that it's, within first 10 minutes are so critical in a sudden cardiac arrest, both for compressions and the use of an AED, increasing survival chances by 70% or more. So that's a huge thing about this. So that's why we really wanted to tackle not just the AED need within a community, but the education and training that supports it. Oh, another question.
Another question, Robert. It's asking if FNHA is moving towards supporting community with the establishment of a first responders program.
Great question. Yes and no. Ultimately, it's community's responsibility at the end of the day to start a first responder program. But we're definitely here to help guide and work with our partners with BCHS. They're going to have valuable lessons. St. John's Ambulance as a training partner for you and community. That's what we can do is put you in contact with the people that can help you establish that and give you the resources and tools around what that would look like. So that is bringing together our valuable partnerships here and really not make you seek as many answers as you need and bringing those answers to you about how that'll look and what your requirements are for indemnification of that program under BCHS. So that is that community of practice where we plan to hopefully be able to tackle these kind of broad questions as a group too, so that we're not just one-on-one. We can work collectively together across several communities. We're facing the same, several that are wanting to start up a first responder program. We know that's a difficulty within community, that the volunteerism is there. It can wax and wane. But hopefully what this does is create that community of practice and elevate those people in feeling confident in their skill sets, knowledgeable in how to get the training and how to get the indemnification and resources and tools to make an effective first responder program. I'm assuming that FNHA's CHN, and CHN, I'm drawing too many acronyms in my field.
Community health nurse.
A community health nurse could help with AED. Thank you, Sean. Could help with AED Awareness Day events. I'm sure that they can. I'm not going to speak for them. That's not my department. But I know that not just them, but our health emergency management team would gladly be a part of this, I'm sure, as well. They've requested that we don't put too much new work onto their plates because they are full, but but this is something that broadly, I think if we are helping you guys and give you guys the some of the tools to around that and that AD awareness, I'm sure a request for some support from your regional HEM advisors and nurse community health nurses, as well as your engagement coordinators. Those are all different aspects of FNHA that would more broadly support this kind of a push for an awareness day. Casey is the man in the interior. That's correct. He's the HEM guy. Casey's great. Casey's well aware of this program as well. He was one of the ones that helped identify the first 5 that I got that went off into wherever they went. But Casey's been following the program and is well aware, and I'm sure would love to support this initiative within your region.
Any other questions or comments?
Thanks, Sean. Going once?
Hi,
Going
Josephine
twice?
here. Hi,
Oh,
Josephine.
Josephine, hi, how are
Hey,
you?
hi. So in regards to if we were to put on an event, I mean, obviously we'd have key contacts from First Nations Health Authority to come in and to put on an event for training in regards for that. I think that's, I know that some of us have the training, but it doesn't hurt. We have new staff all the time revolving, and I think it doesn't hurt to have somebody from First Nations Health come in and do this. Where would that sit at?
Well, Josephine, I would be hesitant to say someone's going to come into community to initiate this training. So the cardiac crash training can be virtual. There's a limited number of PE seats. It can also be done in person, but that's kind of our goal, is to have the applicants when they apply identify those 3 to 5 people that are interested in helping to carry this program. One of the things that I didn't touch on was that we encourage one of those people to be an elder as well, because we think it's very important that all walks of community life and community need to be represented, or representing how important this work is. And we think obviously an elder carries a lot of weight within community. But besides them, aunties make a great. I've always listened to what my aunties have told me to do. So those are kind of the people that we want to engage first around the train the trainer, and have kind of a few of those volunteers go out into community then after and carry this torch. So FNHA can only support so much under this program. But what we can do is give a lot of tools and ability to and supports around community than engaging themselves within community. And we think there's more value coming from a community member who believes in this and supports this and wants to stand this up than us coming into each individual community. Plus, economically, it just doesn't work if we need to go one by one and the time rollouts. This is something that we can do more effectively in this kind of programming, the way we've designed it. But that's not to say that you can't have that FNHA team members that are out there already won't come and support in other ways. We encourage you to have those conversations about, being there to, if they're specializing in, CPR and stuff like that, to come and have them watch and participate as well. That kind of engagement is expected, and our teams have been made aware that, they might from time to time reach out, but that generally the heavy lifting we're trying to do is virtually to get the knowledge imparted to community, that a community that can then perform that training throughout their own community. The St. John's Ambulance one is another big one too, though. So that continuation of education past that point, and communities better positioned than we are in identifying which of its members are potentially great candidates for championing a emergency responder team, or being elevated to the level of paramedic and go through that training and have that. These are also more further career paths into and out of community as well. So we wanted to make sure that there's a sustainable aspect of this as well, by making sure that this program continues indefinitely as long as we can make it a go. And that includes St. John's supporting cheaper educational rates for Indigenous communities through this program too. So that's really where the focus has been. So as much as we wished we could be there, it just isn't feasible overall from an equity and economic stance. But we think we found a good way to get that education out to you guys. And any other questions? Don't worry, every time I presented on this, everyone, it seems to be just great. It sounds good. And there's been very few questions, which we think is a good sign too. It means we're doing something that's good. I tried to do this with intention. I'll share with you, I'm a cardiac patient. I had heart surgery when I was 3 months old. And so that's why this really is, like I said, just really near and dear to my heart. So everything has been done with intention, with thoughtfulness, and with consultation too, from many different partners and from what we've heard from communities that I've been able to interact with as well. So we're really looking forward to this, hopefully being a very successful program. And we really look to you guys to really be the antithesis of what this programming is as health directors. You guys are the ones that can really help drive this within each of your respective communities that you serve in. So I just want to thank you guys all for the wonderful work you do, and the critical work you do, and then not never-ending work you do. We completely understand, how challenging it is to try to juggle the 50,000 different things in your portfolios that you each have. And with this programming, what we're really trying to do is try and take some of that off of you and provide some other supports around that, so that, hopefully this AED doesn't have to be on the back of your head about maintenance schedules and everything like that. We got your back is what I'm saying here. So that's what this program's tried to do, is help to have communities back and help to encourage a future in healthcare amongst communities as members as well.
And I think maybe, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, Robert, but I think I've just been thinking a little bit about, Sean's comment about existing AEDs nearing the end of their lifespan. I mean, I think that if it's an AED that you would be needing to replace at some point, then there's no harm in applying under this program for that replacement. And then when you can be replaced under this program, whether it's in this round or in future rounds, then you will have an AED that does have at least like the monitoring capability in there as well. So yeah, I mean, what is it? If you don't ask, you won't get.
That's it. We're asking everybody to ask. Just everybody ask us, because we will keep even if you aren't in the first 50, we will still keep you in the queue. And once more funding comes through, then we'll work down that queue list. So it is open to everybody. I would also say that we have the same thing at FNHA in general. We're replacing ours that are kind of nearing, have gone through a bit of a lifespan. But we're also finding that these ones are actually cheaper over a 10-year lifespan because of the lack of continuous maintenance and battery and pad replacements required for some of the other models. That being said, too, we are exploring avenues for what do we do with those ones that are still technically good, but we're replacing with this better model. We're trying to find avenues for donations as well. So just because, we're not saying throw out your old one that, maybe the maintenance is complicated or maybe near the end of lifespan, they may be able to be refurbished too. That's something that we can talk about in the community of practice later on and potentially give you guys other avenues to, when you get a new one, what can you do with the old one then that you're replacing it with, if that's the case? So excellent point.
Excellent, thank you. And when we do put out so stay tuned in future e-blasts, or if you are not a health director, your health director will receive a future e-blast that will have the link when this recording goes live. And we will make sure that we include a handout of sort of whether it's the slide deck that Robert and Zach shared today, or whether it's another sort of form of a handout, so you can have something for those of you who might want something you can print off that's tangible there. So we will do that too.
Fabulous. We're going to get you from every angle. You're going to have messages from us, messages from FNHDA and our HEM teams and our engagement teams. So expect lots of emails on this.
Yeah. We'll get it out there to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate your time today. And it looks like we're able to give you back a bit of gift of time as well.
Yeah, and I always say, I won't tell your bosses if you don't tell your bosses. I'm kidding.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, everyone.